We was good fellas, wise guys. The Yakuza, the mob, the triads, Amway, none of them don't have nothing on us, not no how or not no way. The law couldn't touch us, the other gangs couldn't touch us. The skater kids probably wanted to make us acquainted with the concrete, but my daddy wouldn't let them. It's hard sometimes for a man to find his place in the wild, but sometimes you just gotta grit your teeth and make your mark on the streets with your own two hands. Bada bing, bada boom, I'm walking here, you're talking to me, forget about it. This is a story of how I happened to write my name in the annals of history.
Hello there.
This is a story of how I started a gang. The year was 2008. I was 12 years old. The world was my oyster and I was the pearl.
Okay.
My 16-minute essay on Bible Belt Batman who studied the blade didn't make it abundantly clear I was a Christian kid in my youth. Specifically a pastor's kid. And my father's church was small but close-knit. And much like unnamed subpar Italian restaurant, when you're there, you're family. But every family has that kid going through their rebellious phase, and no amount of endless breadsticks would change the fact that I was the James Dean type. For before my nuts had even descended, I had started my own gang. A scooter gang. I'm not talking Vespas. Hell, I'm not even talking Rascals. I mean the good old-fashioned leg-powered razors that had shattered many a shin bone in those days. And our two-wheeled group of ruffians menaced the streets, doing illegal one-lap races around our church's parking lot for pink slips. That pink slip, of course, earned you the honor of riding the boss's nifty new scooter with blue hand grips and a squirrel-sized spoiler on the back. But only for one lap. Let's not get greedy here, it was my scooter after all, and I wanted it back. Despite the fact I usually won anyway. Probably helped that the other members of my crew were all riding the scooter equivalent of a 2004 Ford Taurus with a blown head gasket. Now how did you become the leader, you may be asking? Elections? Election fraud? Stop the steal.jpg? Let's call it totalitarian dictatorship. The other boys in my group just sort of did what I said, because they were pushovers. Being a middle child, having a pair of yes men fit perfectly into my pecking order mentality. So I just told them what to do, and who was in charge. And they gave no objection. And if they did, I would have behaved in a way that Gillette would not classify as the best a man could be. Oh yeah, did I mention there was only 3 of us?
Unacceptable!
We were a trio of greasy prepubescent dorks who called ourselves the Vipers. And you thought tunnel snakes were giving serpent-based gangs a bad name.
Tunnel snakes rule.
Our biggest fan club, of course, were the genuine skater kids of our church, as we constantly zoomed in the middle of where they were riding around and doing tricks. There was even a time while we were rounding a corner during our weekly Autism Cup circuit, I ran right into the oldest and biggest of those see you later boys, knocking him clean off his skateboard mid-trick. If looks could kill, I was Nicole Brown, and he was a pair of OJ-sized gloves. Of course, I did what any true Chad would do when staring into the face of danger, and scurried away on my scooter as fast as my Sketcher-equipped feet could push me. That guy grew up to be a Marine, and I ended up growing up to be a disappointment. So he could come and finish the job off all these years later if he really wanted to. That exact event may not have been what stopped our reign of terror, but alas, all tyrants meet their end at some point. But one time, somebody actually beat me in a race. I took their lemon of a scooter to ride, and as they indulged themselves with my God-blessed silver chariot, the rust bucket I borrowed promptly had both of its handlebars pull a Simon and Garfunkel, and I plummeted to the cold earth below. Doing what any man would have in my position, to retain my dignity, I became an unconsolable sobbing mess. And probably wet myself, like a little baby back bitch.
Fighting for my life.
The gang shortly after made our last ride. However, we continued being massive virgins long after that day. This time without riding in a scooter gang as an excuse. Now what's the moral to this story? The moral is my scooter fits too and your girlfriend has me on speed dial. Later, nerd.